German power metal band Powerwolf is set to release their 8th studio album, Call of the Wild, this Friday. And if you have no idea who Powerwolf are, well, they're like Sabaton, remove the tanks and add mystical creatures. And if you aren't familiar with Sabaton, well, Powerwolf is like partying with werewolves at midnight by the old church with the heavy metal guitars.
Shut up and take my money!
And so without further ado, let's take a look at what is inside the album, which many critics believe to be the power metal album of the year. Here you go. A very quick note before we start, and especially for those who are new to the Metal Pilgrim channel, please do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video. And do not forget that this Saturday we are going to celebrate Screaming for Vengeance 39th birthday, and there will be a special episode in our Defenders of the Faith series. So do not forget to subscribe to not miss it. Alright, let's do it. The album opens with an epic orchestral intro to Faster Than the Flame, which quickly grows into a rapid, melodic power metal piece. From the song's opening notes, it becomes clear that with this record, the band is set to deliver a classic Powerwolf experience to all of its listeners. And that, of course, being an album full of energy, melodic tunes, and very catchy choruses. Speaking of which, Faster Than the Flame is definitely one of those songs which chorus will get stuck in your head for hours to come. Yeah, and you will be that annoying guy who cannot stop singing that one phrase he knows. The band then goes straight into Beast of Gévaudan, telling the tale of the mystical 18th century creature which terrorized the south of France for several years and yet has never been caught. And we're not really sure if it ever existed. This track was released as one of the singles to the album. And here is where the greatest mystery lies for me. I actually believe that Beast of Gévaudan might be one of the weakest tracks on the album. What? On this song, the band cranked their trademark catchiness to 11, thus going a bit too far for my personal taste.
These go to 11.
And you're of course more than welcome to disagree with me and start throwing stones at me in the comments, but this statement is in no way meant to depreciate the album's sound. Quite the opposite. If you have already heard Beast of Gévaudan and thought it was amazing, then I have absolutely no doubt that the rest of the album will simply blow your mind. Beast of Gévaudan! If you want to find a perfect description for the following track, Dancing with the Dead, just take a look at its title. You simply could not describe the feelings it evokes more perfectly. The track opens with a melodious guitar lick, which will run as a thread throughout the entire song. And it is this lick which will eventually develop into the song's culmination, bursting into a straightforward yet masterful guitar solo. The song has of course been already released, so if you heard it already, make sure to share your thoughts in the comments.
Write that down, write that down!
The next song's title should be easily understood by any Central and Eastern Europeans out here. Varkolak, even though it might not be the strongest track on the record, introduces a nice change in tempo, giving some variety to the album's first half and laying the foundation for Alive or Undead, a classic power metal ballad. Its enchanting intro melody organically grows into a grand, slow-paced opus, making you drift away in your own mind to a distant fantasy world.
Oh, it's so hard to care when you're this relaxed.
What I also loved about Alive or Undead is its placement on the album's tracklist, which is done in a very old-fashioned way, closing the first side of the record so it would not only give its listener a time to breathe, but it would also soak in your head before you flip that record and move on to the album's second half. That, of course, is if you're a vinyl geek like myself. So if you're not, just take a 30-second break after it, that will do. Nerd. We then have Blood for Blood, Foulad, which could easily be a soundtrack to either a pirate movie or an Irish equivalent of Braveheart.
What will you do without freedom?
And even if neither, it will definitely be a great sing-along for any future live concerts. Now we just have to wash our hands and make those happen. On Glaubenskraft, the band leans towards an even more epic sound, enriching the song's production with the grand orchestral arrangements. And on the album's title track, Call of the Wild, Powerwolf unleashes all they've got, capturing every bit and piece they've presented earlier on this record. It is rapid, melodious, outrageously catchy, and has just a right amount of epicness to sound grand, yet not too pretentious. This actually might be my favorite track on the record.
I love it!
Sermon of Swords might be a bit too predictable in its first half, yet it is the song's breakdown after its equator is what makes it stand out. I can already imagine it simply tearing the crowd at the next open-air festival, and I personally would love to hear it live. On Undress to Confess, the band gives a slight nod to its possibly most successful song, Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend, which by the way was recently re-released with arch enemies Alyssa, White-Gluz, and I heard the song's version with Alyssa first, and I gotta say that I like it far more than the original. And yes, it might be because of Alyssa. The album closes with Reverend of Rats, which in my personal opinion would have sounded much better if used as a bridge elsewhere earlier on the record and not as a closer to a grand and epic sound and record. Overall, Call of the Wild is an extremely cohesive record. The production on the album is simply spotless, and all of the visual elements, including its fascinating album artwork, truly add to the imagery and the storytelling in the songs. Could it have been any stronger? Possibly yes. I personally believe that the album should have been closed with its title track, and the 3 lost songs would have sounded better elsewhere on the album. Yet, if you are a fan of modern power metal, I have no doubt you will absolutely love the record. And if you're not used to the sound yet, it actually might be a good entrance point to see if you dig the genre. And if you're a former and would love to see a vinyl unboxing and a playthrough, possibly on the second channel, then consider checking out my newly created Patreon page and help me get the album. But either way, please do not forget to comment what you personally think about Call of the Wild if you're watching this past release date, and if you're watching this before, what you personally think about the singles which were already released. I'm very curious to find out what Powerwolf fans think about the album and what people who've never heard the band before think of Powerwolf's sound. As always, thank you so much for watching and keep rocking!